Hey party people, welcome back to So Square. I'm Cubed. I'm Jamie. Hello. My voice is tired this morning. I literally woke up an hour ago, which I'm about to explain the many ways why that's not enough time for me. Minimum to wake up in the morning, I need like 2 or 3 hours minimum just to get my brain going. So in my last video when I was talking about handling burnout, I said something along the lines of like my undiagnosed quote-unquote ADHD. And I wanted to clear some stuff up because I know people probably have questions of like, well, how do you know it's ADHD if you're not diagnosed? Are you self-diagnosing? Etc. And I just also want to say like real quick, I don't have a problem with people self-diagnosing. The only thing that I will say about it though is if you're gonna self-diagnose, it should be because you're trying to get help, you're trying to figure out what's going on, and you're trying to improve yourself. And please keep in mind, I am one person. The way that I view things is probably not the way that you view things. It's probably not the way that somebody else views things, right? So I do try to keep an open mind about stuff. I don't want to ever say like, this is the right way and this is the wrong way. But with all that being said, I try really, really hard not to use my mental illnesses as an excuse for why I do things the way that I do, or for how I do things, or for not doing things. I do like to use them as reasons. So like, for instance, I haven't done the dishes in like a week. Sean's done the dishes for me. And it's because I was hyper focused on my project for work. And I told him like, I'm really sorry. I don't know how to prioritize. Like, this is kind of fucked up that you're the one doing all the dishes and I'm not helping. But I literally could not take my brain away from my work project. It's not an excuse. I should still be a good partner and I should still do the dishes when it's my turn to do the dishes. But it's something that lets him know, hey, I did not do this intentionally. This was not intended to hurt you or to harm you in any way. This is just how my brain is right now, and I'm working on fixing it. Because I'm trying to take responsibility for the things that I do or do not do. So that's how I view my mental illnesses, is like, they are my responsibility to try to improve or to at least try to get answers for. That's how I view mine. You might view yours differently, and that's totally cool. Like, I don't have an issue. All of that to go back to, well, why are you saying, if it's not a self-diagnosis, why are you saying quote-unquote undiagnosed ADHD? Well, let me tell you. So, back in like 2017 or 2018, I don't really know, those 2 years are completely shot in the brain for me. I was seeing a therapist, and the diagnoses essentially went like this. I told her that I had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. She said, I can literally take one look at you and tell you that's not what you have. You have CPTSD, and she called it bipolar depression, but I think it goes by a different name now. I don't know, but I just call it like depression, because that's what I have. And then I also said, like, you know, one of my friends with ADHD and I have been talking, and like, we seem to show a lot of the same symptoms. What do you think about that? Like, is that a diagnosis that I should pursue? Is that, like, should I go talk to a psychiatrist about that to try and get on medication? And she literally said, like, well, I forget exactly her wording, but it was along the lines of, well, you're already an adult, so it might hurt you in the professional world to diagnose you with ADHD. And this was a very like old school, old world therapist. Like at one point she even told me like, oh, you should wear makeup every day so that you feel better about yourself. And eventually you'll start feeling happy and confident in yourself and all this. I was like, yeah, this is some 1950s bullshit. If it were a self-care technique, awesome, totally. I don't mind doing that. But the way she phrased it, it did not sound like that. So I think that with the understanding that she's an old world kind of gal, you know, she's not really, I wouldn't say keeping up with the times, but, you know, she was an older person, probably in her 70s or something. So it's like, I can understand where she's coming from. So for her to say that an ADHD diagnosis for me would just make things harder in the professional world, I'm sure that she was thinking of way back in the early days of like early 2000s, early 1990s. If you had anything like that, it was hard to get the help that you needed. But meanwhile, I'm genuinely like, I'm struggling at work. I'm struggling with YouTube stuff because I don't have a professional diagnosis on paper of ADHD. She said I meet a lot of the hallmarks, but she said it probably wouldn't be worth me pursuing. I can't help but think, like, would you have said the same thing if I were a dude? Would you have said the same thing if I were a kid, a teenager? And it's one of those things, like, I'm thinking back on it and I'm like, wow, yeah, if I had just had an answer for this when I was a literal child, I wonder how easy school would have been for me. Because it wasn't necessarily hard, but like, I would forget that assignments were due. I would misplace all of my stuff all of the time. Just never got that figured out. I take that not real diagnosis, but yeah, you probably have it. I take that as like, okay, it is something I probably do have. I should try to make my life as ADHD friendly as possible. And you know, some of the steps that I've been taking have been working out really, really well. All of this to say, like, I want to go through right now and I guess do like an ADHD quiz thing, maybe see if I am founded in my belief and my old therapist's belief that I probably do have ADHD, or if like maybe that's not it, maybe there's something else better that I could be doing. So it's like an 18-question quiz. All right, I'm gonna take this little test thing. Do you despair of ever fulfilling your potential and meeting your goal? I'm gonna say sometimes, because I don't really know what that means. Do you feel as if life is out of control and it's impossible to meet demands? Often. Do you feel overwhelmed in stores, at the office, or at parties? Rarely. I actually like shopping. Are you clueless as to how others manage to lead consistent, regular lives? Very often. Have you ever been thought of as selfish because you don't write thank you notes or send birthday cards? I don't know if people think of me as selfish, but I don't think it's selfish to not write a thank you card. I think thank you cards are outdated. Am I alone in that? Thank you cards are outdated. You give me the gift, I tell you thank you. I'm gonna say never, because I don't know that one. Do you feel that you have better ideas than other people but are unable to organize them or act on them? So much. Called a slob or spacey. I would say often, but it's usually me calling myself those things. Do requests for one more thing at the end of the day put you over the top emotionally? Often. Is it impossible for you to shut out sounds and distractions that don't bother others? No, because I also have an audio processing disorder, which means I don't hear those sounds. So I'm gonna say never. Does time, money, paper, or stuff dominate your life and hamper your ability to achieve your goals? Stuff and paper and time, definitely, but money not so much. So I'm just gonna call that one often. Do you watch others of equal intelligence and education pass you by? Very often. Do you feel like you are passing for normal but are really an imposter? All the time, baby. Literally all the time. Do you feel like you're always at one end of the deregulated activity spectrum, either a couch potato or a tornado? Very much so. Do you start the day determined to get organized and end the day feeling defeated? All the time. All the time. Do you hesitate to have people over to your house because you're ashamed of the mess? Often. Is your time and energy taken up with coping, staying organized, and holding it together with no time for fun or relaxation? Not really. My time is mostly taken up because I'm so paralyzed by all of the things that I need to do that I don't know where to start or how to prioritize, so I just sit and do nothing and panic the whole time. So I guess I'll say sometimes. I don't have trouble balancing my checkbook. Do you shut down in the middle of the day feeling assaulted? Pretty often. Okay, so 47 points out of 72 points. 70 divided by 2 would be 35, plus 1 would be 36. Okay, so I'm like slightly on the edge of being a little bit more ADHD than being not ADHD, I guess. The higher the point total, the greater the likelihood that you show signs of attention deficit disorder. So my thinking is, my whatever small amount of ADHD I might be, I don't know, it's like in collusion with my depression, not so much my PTSD, but sometimes, yeah. So it's like I just have this like triangle of things. That's not a triangle, that was a circle, but I have this like barrier of things that really hampers me in a lot of ways throughout the day. And it's hard, and I'm using like some tips and tricks. It's really hard to start doing those things. And one of the things I wanted to say as well is it's really hard for me to finish projects even when I start them. That's why the KonMari series is delayed. That's why the redecoration series is delayed, because it's really hard for me to just sit down and finish a project that I know needs to get done, because my brain always wants to go on to the next thing, and it's hard to slow down. Anyway, all of that to say, like, when I call myself, or when I say that I have undiagnosed ADHD, a therapist said I probably do have it, but she didn't want me to pursue the diagnosis for some very outdated work-related reasons, right? So it is something that I'm actually thinking about talking to a psych about. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, though. And I don't know if I'm going to have the time or the resources to have it go anywhere. So anyways, back to our regularly scheduled programming this week or next week. I don't know. Next week, I'm going to have the redecoration series back. Still working on those papers for the KonMari series. Why did I do that to myself? I don't know. But, and then Thursday, I think I will have a ghost update for you guys, because shit's been, it's been weird. I'll say that much. It's been weird. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go. Thank you for coming on this ADHD journey with me. And I'll see you guys next time. Wait, I forgot to do my thing. How do we do my thing? Oh, stay cool, stay cubed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Mwah! Toodles, I remembered.